Howdy, howdy, and welcome to My Bloody Judy with your final forgets, myself, Zachary Patton Garcia.
And Ian Carlos Crawford. Howdy, howdy, and welcome to My Bloody Judy with your final forgets, myself, Ian Carlos Crawford.
And filling in for Zachary Patton Garcia, I'm Dana Piccoli, and this is my first time on My Bloody Judy.
Wait, is it?
Yes.
Oh, shit. I really thought you had been on before. That just,
Nope.
didn't occur to me. Well, I could not think of a better thing to be your first My Bloody Judy than an episode of Yellowjackets.
Then a batshit crazy episode of Yellowjackets.
Even Zach was like, oh, I'm bummed I have to miss this episode, because, a lot happens, and, a lot of wacky shit. Dana, I'm curious, because last season I didn't love it. I thought it lagged a little bit, but I feel like this season we've picked up, 100%.
It's definitely faster paced this season. I'm missing Nat.
Yeah, I am, right?
There was a dynamic she brought to things that everyone's personalities are kind of elevated, and there's no Nat to bring them all together.
Yes, Zach mentioned this in the first recording, that he felt that Nat was the only one that actually got Misty and could appreciate her for what she was.
Yes.
And I do kind of think that that's kind of what she almost was the thing that brought them all together. Because she still got very annoyed by Misty, but I do think she understood her better than the rest.
Yeah. She still had her humanity.
Yeah, and it's so funny with Shauna, because Shauna tries to cosplay as someone who does.
Yes.
But
she's just an awful human being.
Yeah. When she gets annoyed at Misty for stupid things, it's but you're literally a sociopath,
You're
Shauna.
The worst. Yes. And I know the Shauna lovers are gonna be so mad at me for this, but no, she's truly an awful, awful person.
And it makes for great TV though. I love watching her, because I love watching her try to do regular human things, and she cannot. Understandably so, right? I would also be incredibly fucked up if I was in that scenario and survived.
I also think, so this is something I've thought for a long time, that young Shauna and adult Shauna don't match to me as well as the other younger versions of themselves.
Okay, huh. I feel since the baby, though, she's gotten more intense, understandably so. It's the baby and then her best friend getting eaten.
Yeah, but there's something about the mask. Maybe that's something once she left the woods, she learned how to do, to mask all of this rage and because older Shauna is so almost prim.
Yeah.
And a little prudy, and younger Shauna wasn't.
Yeah.
So there's to me there's a disconnect between the two. Whereas I find everyone else, especially younger Nat, this season, I think the actress playing younger Nat has done a really, really good job of nailing more of Juliette Lewis's kind of mannerisms and vocal kind of things. Way more so than the first season, and even most of the second season.
Yeah, and I think you are right, because especially in the flashbacks, we are even seeing that even her as a leader, she's not she's trying to make everyone be chill and normal, but that's just not gonna work. I think what Van said holds really true. I think it was in the first or second episode when Taissa was I could lead them, and she was I don't doubt you could, but this place does not want that. And I kind of think that's the issue, is they're trying to pretend they can, but I just don't think it can happen.
Yeah. Fair.
Were you surprised? So I feel also all my notes are on my phone, by the way, so it'll be annoying. I have my phone up. Also, I am curious, did you think I did assume the coach burned down the cabin, but now I'm 100% positive he did not.
I feel the same way. I totally thought Coach did it at first, because he was just I gotta put an end to this, but I believe the things that come out of his mouth.
Right, yes. He feels like a character that there's no bullshit there.
Yeah, he's the only reliable narrator we have.
That's what has me tripped up about the noises in the woods because I'm like, oh, but he hears them too. Like a lot of people think
Yeah.
it's like a joint hallucination, and I could
Right, a
buy
mass
that.
hysteria kind of situation, but is it paranormal or is it supernatural?
Right, because the coach hearing it too makes me think that it is there is like a supernatural element. I don't know. What do you think?
I think there is.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
so
there
too.
is. I never really bought the mass hysteria thing, um, but I buy it even less now.
Fair, yes. And like even like at the I mean, this is jumping ahead, but even at the end when they're like Shauna, Akila, and Van are all in each other's dreams, like I
Hmm.
feel like that you can't explain that away with like mass hysteria,
Right,
right?
and the fox thing that happens
Yeah.
right at the end.
Yeah, like I don't there's just a lot of things that happen that are like, well, that wouldn't fit with that. Um,
Right.
but so we'll start with the present day. We get Shauna. She is it feels like Shauna's kind of like the main character, right?
Yes. And Melanie Linsky does a fantastic job with this character.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I do not have any issue with how she plays Shauna. I think she's great. It's just she is a difficult character to like.
Yes. There was one day when my dad, he loves Two and a Half Men, because of course he does. I didn't realize she was in that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Doesn't she stalking
He-
Charlie Sheen's character or
yeah, and I
something?
was like, Dad, this is really funny watching her as this character because the show I liked her in, she's like a sociopath murderer who like threatens people with guns but has like zero emotions. And in that one, she's like the like crazy neighbor who like wants to have sex with Charlie Sheen, and it's just a very big like. I mean, I guess both are still kind of unhinged. So,
Yeah.
but so she's talking to her daughter. She wants to know what her and Lottie talked about, but then Lottie enters. I like Lottie a lot better this season. What do you think of Lottie?
Lottie as an adult is a is way like more flowery than I would have expected her to grow up to be.
Okay.
Um, but I do like this weird connection that they have. Like I don't quite get it yet, and I know there's all sorts of theories about
Yeah.
who this kid is or whatever. But yeah, she's obviously trying to manipulate this girl in some way, right?
Yes.
But yeah, she is a little bit more likable here.
I think she's become more likable when she's not like running a cult, right? I think it's just like, okay, well, her woo-woo-ness is just like kind of annoying now. It's not like
Hmm.
harming a group of people in a fucking cult. So I think that's what makes her a little bit more tolerable, but still like someone like that in real life, I would hate. Like it's too woo-woo for me. And like her like softness and her speaking when actually she's being manipulative, like,
And just like shoplifting.
yeah, like for me, it's just like, shut the fuck up. But it also makes sense that a teenager would like fall
Of
for it, right?
course, yeah.
I think I would as a
And
teenager.
and the fascination of her wanting to kill her mother and also like I think she's just yeah, there's so much about Lottie that she's kind of obsessed with because I think she gets Lottie in a way that no one else does.
Yes, yes, I think she does. And it's also understandable that Shauna doesn't want her daughter hanging out with her because
Hmm.
of a myriad of reasons of like, is she gonna turn my daughter against me? Is she gonna tell her we ate my best friend? Like,
Right, right.
because I really the thing I like is watching them dance around it. Like how
Hmm.
last episode when Misty was just like, think of how crazy we would be if we survived a plane crash and had to eat people, and she's like,
That would be
yeah,
nuts.
I think about it. um, I like Lottie being like snobby about pancakes when she's like, "Oh God, no!" Like,
Yeah. Too much, too processed for me.
yeah, it's like pancakes. Like, I don't know. Um, rings, and it's Misty
Of
and
course.
Dana. I know, like, I continually feel bad for Misty, even though I like understand. Like Zach and I were talking about this last episode, and he was like, "No, they're just so mean to her," and I was like, "Well, but." I'm assuming they know she's the one that destroyed the black box, so I feel like I might hate that person forever too.
Yeah, but they hated Misty before the plane crash. They were shitty to her before the plane crash. Like, some people are just going to be bullied. Like,
That's true, yeah.
she unfortunately, and I mean that sounds terrible, but I just mean like there are some people that just have this thing that people want to like crush.
Rip apart, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm saying that as somebody who was bullied pretty bad as a young as like a junior high kid.
I feel like most of us closeted, nerdy
Right,
queer
right.
teens,
Like,
yeah.
so we have something different about us that either people are attracted to or they want to destroy.
Yeah.
I think that Misty's desperation to be liked just pisses them off even more. They
Oh,
also, I think, do recognize, though, even as younger Misty, that she has some valuable assets. And so they don't like shun her completely because they know they need her, right?
yes.
Just like they need her as an adult.
Yeah, just like how Shauna, even though Shauna can't stand her, she's still, that Misty was who she called to babysit her daughter and Lottie to make sure nothing, like
Right.
Misty, and Shauna was shitty and manipulative about it,
Right.
which makes me more mad because if Shauna had called her and said, I need you to babysit, Misty would have said yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Like what's the pretense all about?
yeah, I don't know why she did that, but like, yeah, I
It's
just feel
so
bad.
easy. It's so easy to please Misty.
Yes,
If
yes.
she would have if she would have been like, Misty, I trust you and I need you to, oh my God, Misty would have been just
She would have an
over the moon.
itinerary, like she would have like had the whole night planned, like, and I feel like Misty's someone you want to have a plan.
Right. And I know Walter is trying to point that out to her. It's just so unpleasant to hear
Yep.
that Misty can't. And also,
Yeah.
I think Walter approaches it kind of the wrong way.
Yes.
But yeah, she just can't let herself believe it.
Yeah. And she really just wants them to like love her.
Because what would that mean, right? What were all the sacrifices for
Yeah.
if she believes that they genuinely hate her or don't want her around?
Yeah. Yeah. I really feel so bad for her, even though I remind myself she is the one that crushed the black box. Like, but like Shauna's annoyed that Misty's even calling her, right? She's like,
Hmm.
why did you need to call me? Like, why do we need to
This
meet
is
up?
all, she was very much like this could have been an email.
Yes. That was like very much the gist of Shauna's vibe. Lottie and Callie go shopping, and I feel like Callie is like for sure buying into Lottie's shit. And I was thinking about it, and Lottie's she's met the other survivors, but never like spent like had so much FaceTime with them, right?
Hmm. Right.
So I feel like that alone makes sense that she's like, I want to hang out with this mysterious person who like knows what my mom did and
Yeah.
might tell me.
I also get a little bit of a queer vibe from Callie. I
You
know
think
she's
so?
got like a boyfriend and stuff, but the hero worship kind of
Mm,
thing she has with Lottie reminds me of things that I did with older women when I was a teenager.
right. And they're
And,
cool, but actually, yeah.
but yeah, like I just like your presence is too like chemically attractive to me to like stay away from you. Like there's something about you that is like
Yeah.
appealing to so many parts of me.
I didn't even think about that, but that makes sense, Dana, because right, it's like you kind of don't know how to process it, and it yeah, comes out just like the a little bit too intense hero worship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of like when you're like a kid who's like closeted and you're like, oh, that other kid I saw on TV is really cool, but it's like actually you have a crush on them, but like you just say cool instead.
Right.
Like I remember as a kid, we were the same age, being like, oh, I really liked the boy in Jurassic Park. He's really cool, but it was like I had a crush on him because whatever. Um, Misty and Shauna get coffee. Misty's just so happy to hang out, Dana. I just
It's just
like,
a scone and coffee, Shauna. Like, fucking suck it up.
like I feel like at the very least, Shauna, it's like realize this is just what you need to do to keep this person like in your
Right?
Rolodex.
Right.
Like
The woman has killed for you.
literally is killed for
Literally
her.
murdered for you.
And like,
Just have a latte with her.
right, like, fine, you got to leave after, but like, just fucking do it.
Let
Like,
her talk
right,
about her musicals, whatever. We gotta
yeah.
do what we gotta do.
You and I would do really well with Misty, Dana.
I think we would. I think we would.
um, and I do like Misty kind of telling Shauna like her version of the events when she's like, I read her the riot act and I told her she couldn't talk, but actually she was drugged and passed out. Like she
But
just
I do
wants to.
think that Misty thinks that she did that.
Oh yeah, I think Misty, when Misty does this, she believes everything that's
Oh,
coming out of
yeah.
her
She's
mouth.
like, I totally handled this situation.
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be that she knew she was drugged, but I don't think she does,
I don't
right?
think she does. No.
Yeah, I think
Because,
she
I
just
mean,
thinks she got drunk.
grenadine can taste a lot like liquid Benadryl. So,
But I do like when she's like, because Apple Tree, your daughter's a little schemer. Because especially this season, we're seeing how much she is like Shauna, right?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
Callie would hate hearing that.
Callie would kill us for saying
Yes,
that.
she would.
And yeah, and like Missy's even like, I thought it would just be nice if we could hang out. And it's like,
Yeah. Like, I'll do
man,
your errands with you.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And I also like do understand that Missy would probably be annoying to run errands with.
Oh God, of course. I'll sit in the doctor's office with you.
Like, no.
I'll throw her a bone right now, Shauna. God, she's so desperate.
Yeah, when she's like, oh my God, I'm great at getting presents. Let's not go to this place. Let's go to this place. Like she's just participating and is excited. Like,
The thing is, in some ways, I get because desperation is a really big turnoff. And I think I have frozen some people out in my life who have been desperate for my attention. So I do understand why Shauna gets annoyed, but it's also at the same time, I'm like, maybe if I would have just been a little more patient.
it's like I see both sides because yeah, Misty probably would drive me fucking nuts, but also I understand the like I don't know, I feel like it's almost like when you're in a relationship and you kind of know it's falling apart, but you're trying to pretend everything's normal.
Mhm.
And like this is kind of like Misty, I feel like Misty's trauma is like it like kind of like came to in adulthood as like her kind of like still acting like a child, but also being a fucking murderer. Like those
Yeah.
are her like
Yes. Her maturity level didn't ever really get past the woods.
yeah, and like the rest of them do feel like adults, but she does not.
Yes.
And you know, I feel like when I moved back home with my parents, right? I had not been living here for 10 years. I very much felt like, am I fucking 16 again? Like I felt like I was regressing, acting like a
Mm,
teenager again.
sure.
So like I do kind of get it. Like, you know, even I joked about this last episode, like, you know, my ex-boyfriend and my mom died on the same day, 8 years apart. I found my ex-boyfriend dead. That ain't nothing compared to what these girls went through. So like they had to
You,
eat people like
right. Like my wife tells me that I'm a very different person in front of my high school friends than I am with anybody
oh
else.
yeah.
So like there's a part of me that
Yeah, I can see
this
that.
part of it like it exposes parts of me that as I have grown as an adult, I have like pushed aside like vulnerabilities and like goofiness and also like probably some more negative qualities, but like I retreat into that place that I was with them there. And I wonder if like Misty's just kind of stuck there.
Yeah, because like no one else is her friend.
Right. Except Walter, who she
Right.
pushes
Who
away.
she pushes away. Yeah, that's funny that you said that because my like teenage friends that I still have, we're all really filthy and we're all like we say just like terrible things to each other, but like in love. And like things that like I would not say to like you or Zach
Right.
or like friends that I made as an adult.
Sure.
And like none of my one friend's wife, the first time she hung out, she was like, I cannot believe the way you guys talk to each other. And we were like, no, it's like we love
Like
each
we're
other.
trauma
Like, yeah, it's
bonded.
fine. As I remember, she was like, do you actually hate Amy? And I was like, no, not at all. And she was like, I've never seen you be that mean, Ian. And I was like, oh, it's just how her and I talk to each other. I don't know. So that makes sense. Yeah. When she's like, oh, foot doctors, they're sexy, right? Misty,
If anyone
come
ever
on.
thought that podiatrist was sexy.
Right? So I like, what is your theory? So they're driving together, the
The
brakes.
car, right?
Yes. What is
Who
your
cut the
theory?
brake line, right? I don't know.
I
I
have
could
two theories.
absolutely see Misty doing it to trauma bond with Shauna. And I think she would know because she's manipulated cars before,
Right, yes.
but I'm not 100% sure.
I think I understand why Shauna might assume it was Misty because it is her like MO. It's not
Yeah,
out of
absolutely.
her like realm of things she might do, but I don't think Misty would have wanted to sabotage a like best friend time out, which is what she saw it as.
Right.
I think it was either Lottie or God, what the hell's the name of the girl she kissed in the past?
Melissa?
Melissa. I think it's Melissa like stalking her, I
Mm.
think. Just because Hilary Swank, we know she's in this season. She's got to come in the present day, and I feel like she's just going to be Melissa. Um, I don't know. Because we haven't seen her yet, and the season's only, I think, like 9 episodes. And
Right. So
so,
we're a quarter of the, we're well, like a third of the way through it. Yeah.
yeah. So, like, she's got to pop up. And so that's the only, I feel like it has to be her. And then I feel like she's playing Melissa, but who knows?
I've
Um,
seen a theory that she's Melissa's sister.
oh.
Yeah, but I don't know. I really don't know. I don't
I
know.
like that theory because I am a little bit like, we can't have a new survivor every season. Like, like it's like they shouldn't be so surprised if they know more people survived. Um, yeah, but those two, Christina Ricci and Melanie Linsky are such good actors. Like,
It's so
I
good to get.
I like how wacky it gets when she's like, "Oh, there's kids," and she's like, "I fucking see the kids," and they're just like yelling.
Yes, yes. And how they like I just love the way she like does the emergency brake at the top of the.
Also, I was like, "Are they
Why
gonna go
didn't
to?"
she use the emergency brake earlier?
And I was like, "Oh, those like kids' parents are gonna be so mad." But then no one, they just kind of are
They were
like,
just like kept playing.
Yeah. I was like, "Why didn't they get the fuck out of that park?"
But
Misty, like, yeah,
this is Misty's breaking point because Shauna blames her for it. And Misty is like finally like it clicks to her that Walter was probably right, that they really aren't her friends.
which sucks, right? It sucks even more to be like, "Don't say that about XYZ," and then that thing is true.
Right.
So I feel even worse for Misty, and then she fucking trips when she gets out of the car. I was like, "Oh God."
The indignities.
You know what it reminded me of, Dana? I don't know if I've told you this story before. It's
Mm.
possible I have. One time when I parked in Philly at the Philly Comic Con, I parked in this like parking lot where you had to give them your keys. And at the end of the day, when I went back, they were like, "We don't have your keys. You didn't park here." And I was like, "Yes, I did." And the guy was like, "No, you didn't. There's no keys under blah 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 with the ticket I gave them." Found out they had fallen on the floor. But I had my spare key. It was like back when your car had the clicker, but then also came with like, and so I had that, so I was able to get in my car. And I was like, "All right, well, that's my car." So I got in it, drove up to the thing, and was like, "All right, well, I gotta pay because I gotta leave." And he was like, "Oh, I did find your keys. They were on the floor." And Dana, I went, "Well, thanks a lot, asshole." And as I pulled out of the garage, I hit the fucking parking pole and scraped the side of my car against it. And I was like, "Well, gotta keep going." So I just cursed off this guy. And I'm sure he was like, "What an idiot." That's like what I
What
thought of.
So I wanted to go to this all girls prep school so bad. I like wanted to go from like fifth grade on. And I got to go visit when I was in eighth grade. Okay. And it was like I was going to spend the whole day there, and I was so excited. And I was like, okay, I got to be so cool. I'm an eighth grader. I got to be so cool. So my mom drops me off in the front, and there's still like some girls lingering around in
Oh
their
no.
kilts. And I get out of the car and I slip on the ice, and half of my body goes underneath my mother's car. I was mortified. The indignity
I'm like, under the car? Like, Jesus.
under the car.
Just yesterday, I was at a friend's house. I smoked a little bit of weed. This is gonna sound like I'm lying, but I wasn't. Like, I was just like a little high. He has like steps up to his kitchen and down. And so I went to like get a snack. And as I came down, I was in my socks and it's all hardwood floors. I fucking
You
slipped
totally ate shit.
and everyone was like, kind of like, oh my God, I was like, I promise I'm not that stoned. It was just my sock. And like, then it sounded like I was really lying because like, why did I
Right,
need
of
to say
course.
that? But it really was.
So
Anyway,
what we've learned from this is that we're clumsy.
yes.
Anyway.
uh, Misty runs off. I wrote it down. She says something in the line of like, you're the worst, not the best friend. And it's like, oh,
Yeah, yes.
that's like,
It's such a high school thing to say, right?
but we know coming from Misty, she means it like very
Mhm.
harshly.
And she's so
Shauna's,
mad she even yells at Caligula. Caligula.
yeah, so she gets home. Also, when Shauna's like, something must have warped your brain when you were little to Misty, it's like, well,
Right.
fucking, yeah. Like,
Cannibalism, bullying.
all of you had that
All of
same
you?
thing? Yeah, I feel bad when Misty gets home and she like yells at her fucking parrot and then breaks the frame and lights the picture on fire. Also, that worries me for them moving
It
forward.
does. Oh, they are booked.
Because, like, while I sympathize with Missy, I also know she is a literal murderer. So
They're gonna have to send like Van in there to try to bring her back into the fold because I know they're all gonna need each other in whatever comes next.
yes, yes. So I feel like you're probably. Do you see a lot? I see a lot of the tweets with like theories and stuff, and I've seen a lot of people being like, "Stop trying to romanticize or make any of them morally good because none of them are." And I think that's true, right?
Sure,
Like,
yeah, but that doesn't mean that we can't be
oh
invested
no,
in
yeah,
their stories.
no, but it was like, oh, Shauna's gonna apologize or and I'm like, I don't think she's gonna apologize, but I think she's gonna be like, we do need you. I just don't think I think she might apologize, but I don't think she feels bad,
No,
right?
no. I don't think she's capable of feeling that.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't think she has the thing in her brain that, like, I think she would be like, oh, I know that that's a time when I should feel bad.
Yes, which
Yeah.
is a very sociopathic thing
Right. Yeah.
to do.
um, Van and Ty have like a weird. What do you think of Van and Ty? Because I like them, but I do think their story's like a little boring.
It's the old lesbian love trap, right? They just um I love how passionate they are about each other. Like they just like they're like rekindling that like teenage, love for each other. Um I think that Van is really good for Thaisa,
Yes, yes.
because Thaisa was really going off the fucking rails.
Yeah.
And Van somehow keeps her in reality. She's not having nearly the amount of like hallucinations and things like that that she has had before.
Yeah.
Um, but also I think that they're coming back together is doing something.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like
Which also lends to both of us saying like it probably is supernatural.
yes, so something's there. How is Van getting better from fourth stage
Right.
cancer?
Like that just doesn't happen. And like the waiter dying, I really was like, what the fuck? But
The sacrifice that now,
yes.
yeah,
So like
yes, something's up.
I really do think that. And like I think it could get interesting. I did like they got some of the best musical like
They
cues.
did. They did.
Them
Yeah.
making out to Glycerine Dana made me emotional, and I was like, I'm not even sure why. These like are cannibals, and I'm like, oh, it's so sweet. Like,
No, they really nailed those 90s music hooks.
yeah, and like it's funny because Zach is of a younger age, he doesn't like they don't like hit for him, understandably,
Mm,
the way they like hit for you and I.
right.
And I'm
Right.
just
I was
like,
16 when I saw Bush and No Doubt playing together.
I think isn't that the tour where like then they started dating after that or
Yes.
something? Yeah.
Yes.
God, because I had such a crush on Gavin Rosdale. Ugh. And I like
It's
wanted to be Gwen
a good
Stefani.
concert.
I would imagine. No Doubt's really good live, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They were really good live.
I always that's my only like consistent defense of Gwen Stefani is like she's actually surprisingly good live. Like she, kind of sucks now, but whatever. They're also the band I've seen the most.
Oh,
This will
really?
not
Okay.
surprise you. Me and my lesbian friends went to see them
Were you a ska boy?
a little bit, a little
Okay.
bit. It
I'm
was,
going to see Save Ferris in Seattle.
oh my God.
So I was a ska girl. So
I saw them at Warped Tour at least once. I know that. They did the Come On Eileen cover, right?
Yeah.
I
But
love that.
their whole discography is really good.
Yeah, I feel like you and I could like pick out songs to place in the show.
Probably.
So the only thing that threw a wrench in my thought, but that wrench was unwrenched, is when Taysa sees the like eyeless man on TV in a
Yes.
commercial. Because they're watching Van's old VHS tape,
Right. Of
right?
Pee Wee
Yeah.
Herman. And so we get, yeah. So obviously this thing freaked her out when she was a teen, right? Or a young kid.
Yeah.
And then her fear manifests as she gets older and like as she's in the woods and stuff. So I don't think that's super unusual that we would use something that was a trigger for us as a child to represent fear as we're older. So that actually made a lot of sense to me. Um, that I don't mind. I'm down with that.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Well, the
go
thing
ahead.
unwrenched it for me is then Akila, Van, and Shauna's joint dream in the classroom. He's there. He walks by as a janitor. So it's like,
Yes.
well, wait, but they saw him, and Thaisa's not even there, and they don't know about Thaisa seeing him.
But do we know it was a joint dream?
That's true. That is true.
Or was it just in one of them and all three of them were there?
That's true.
I don't know. We
But either
haven't,
way, none of them would have known about it.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's mysteries abound.
Yeah. So I also didn't quite like Thaisa looks up that shop, right? That ice cream
Right.
place, and that's where I didn't understand what she like why
Maybe she thought that that was the key to unlocking the
mm,
missing eye guy. And obviously, there is some sort of message that the Woods is trying to give them because of the fox
yeah.
situation.
And it what had like a bunny in its mouth or like a rat or
Yeah.
something.
And then
Um,
Van was the one that was like,
she
it
she like
wants something from
was
us.
very on board, and I didn't think
Hmm.
she would be. So yeah, I don't know. The only thing, and I've been really liking the season that bothers me is when they discuss it. That feels a little clunky. It's like just
Yeah.
say, right? Like I don't know. It's like you don't dance like if you
But
know
did
what
they
it
ever
is.
give it a name? I think they referred to it as it a lot, and maybe they just
Yeah,
never knew what to call it.
that's true. Um, there's a lot of stuff that like we were building up towards that. I kind of am like, are we doing that? Like the Antler Queen, wasn't that going to be like
Right, like where's the Antler Queen?
we've kind of like
What's
dropped that, right?
Yeah, we dropped
Yeah.
that. Once we started not eating people, we dropped the Antler Queen.
So in the flashbacks, I love Coach. I love him, but he's a goner, I think.
He is a goner.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna be like, oh, okay, you didn't burn down the cabin. Like, right, I don't think there's gonna
No, and it's like I get why Shauna hates Mari's ass because Mari had a chance here to do the decent thing and leave Coach alone. He showed her a lot of grace. He helped her, like he didn't hurt her. He was honest with her, and she is so desperate
yeah.
to like be in the cool kids of this tribe of cannibal teenagers that she just gives him up right away.
Yeah. I I feel like this sounds really bad, but like no rules, right? There's just no rules on that side of their reality that they're living in right now. Like Dana, if me and you and I die, fucking eat me. Like go ahead, don't let my body go to waste. I feel like there's just no rules. I am very big proponent of if I died in this situation, let my friends get some kind of nourishment. I kind of was like, he should just fucking leave her, like beat her up, knock her over, spray her. Once he sprayed her, I was like, leave her ass in that cave. Like,
I think that Coach still sees the good in people,
I think he does.
and
Yes.
that's going to be his downfall. They're going to eat his ass.
Yeah.
And they know how to hunt. Now they've got livestock. They're still going to eat his ass.
They really are, right? Like they don't need to, but they're gonna.
He
And like,
saved them from the poison. They're going to eat his ass.
yes. And I did kind of like when Shauna and Mari were like going at it. I was like, Shauna's being a nightmare, and I mean she
She
is,
is.
but Mari fucking sucks. I love her. I love Dana. I feel like you've taught me a lot about this with like how when I assume I'm like, oh, that's how a mean younger gay is, and you're like, no, that's a young girl, like that specific type of like nasty. And
Oh,
she
yes.
her like trying to manipulate him with like very specific, like, oh yeah, and like bouncing when he's like, you told me it was Latin for pervert, and she's like, I wanted alone time with you and it worked. And it's like, girl. When he's
Yeah.
like, I am gay, and even if I wasn't, the thought of spending alone time with you, I'd rather like kill myself.
He said I'd rather stick something dull into my eye very slowly.
Yes. And like he does seem to be like the only one who is like being kind of normal about it.
That's because his frontal lobe is developed, Ian.
Also fair.
He's a grown up. He's a grown up,
Man, and when he's like, I just took this job to pay off my student loans,
right? He's
like
like,
I
I
didn't
could
want to
have been
do
a soccer
this.
player. I busted my ACL. I just want to live my little gay life.
Like, man, I feel so bad for him, and I feel worse because I know he's going to die soon, and it's like, oh, he's like spiraling
He should
and
have left
like
her in the pit.
really
He should
fucking
have
should
left
have.
her in that pit.
Because again, I know that's bad, but also just no rules, right? Like,
If he had an ounce of self-preservation, he would
yes.
have left her in the pit.
Which, to be fair, I said this in the first episode. I don't think my like will to live would be as strong as the coach's. It
Oh my
like
God, right?
to still
And so
keep
like you're
going.
rooting for him because like the man has gotten through it.
His leg got ripped off in the first fucking episode. Like he watched them eat Jackie and was just like, I gotta get
And
the fuck out of here.
he's been surviving on like nuts and twigs.
Like I just don't think I would know how to do like I just wouldn't know how to do that. And my
Mm-mm.
like desire to learn how to do it would just be
No, I'd
so
have just like slowly walked into the like with stones in my pockets, like Virginia Woolf or something. Or
like right like I said this to someone recently, they're like, that's bleak. I'm like, I don't even mean it in a like bleak depressed, it's just like, what would I be able to do?
I don't have it in
Like,
me.
I
I don't have it
just
in me.
I'm like, not only did he have to like hunt and capture a bat, but he'd have to learn to cook it, and I
Mm,
just could not, Dana.
I couldn't either.
No. um we we get the yelling in the woods, which is again that threw me off
The
because he hears it.
screaming, yeah, he hears it too.
And he even is like, do you hear that? And she's like, I do. And we know that the girls hear it, right? We've seen them hearing it, which is why I was like, okay, well, then it can't be a mass hallucination because, as you mentioned, he has his frontal lobe and he is
Yes.
not even with them and he's hearing it. So,
He's
like,
totally disconnected from their even
yeah.
yeah, even if they were under it, he's disconnected.
Yeah. And like, sure, he can also, I mean, I think last season we saw him hallucinating seeing his boyfriend.
Yes.
That is very,
That's his own
yes,
coping mechanism
right.
though.
And I feel like that makes sense as his, like, but the screaming in the woods,
Right.
Um, and that also would drive me nuts too.
There's a word, and I watch a lot of ghost shows. There's a word that's used to describe elementals. Um,
Okay.
I think it's used to describe like ancient forces that are not human, that are not ghosts, but
Okay.
they're like rooted in the ground. They're rooted
Dana,
into
that makes sense. Actually, being a nerd, you learn so much through nerd shit. In the Marvels, it's like there's like in the Marvel comics, there are like elementals, and it's like they are like the old ones that have like big
yes, they're like
powers. Yeah.
ancient. They're like since the world was there, they've been there.
Okay.
So I think that's the supernatural force.
I could see that. I could totally buy that because, yeah, I like that. I feel like that works. That works better, especially because it's like in the woods and like it's really the weird shit that like I also keep going back to like the old man they saw in the cabin, right?
Hmm.
Like, why did Coach find a like lost era food drop? You know what I mean? Like these things,
Right,
I don't
right.
know. It's
And
yeah.
why did Van connect with that in her hallucination?
Yes, I am wondering about that. Um, so Mari even tells Coach that if he lets her go, she won't tell anyone. and he falls for it and lets her go.
He just because
And
he's a good person.
yeah.
He can't bring it. He just can't bring himself to kill her. He
And
can't.
as we know, being a good person gets you nowhere. I
Yeah, so
keep waiting
she
for like sweet Aquila to get it because she's like the
right, but
nicest.
she's too connected with the elementals. And I think that's why. I
You
think
think so?
because she's so sweet and because she has so much empathy and she's such a good person, she's been able to connect with this like elemental thing. And unfortunately, I think it's gonna make them do some really bad shit.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I do like when Shauna's like, well, let's go get him. And Thaisa's like, oh, we're gonna go get him, Wyatt Earp. Like, what are we gonna do? And I'm a little so Shauna and Nat are at the top of my lit the cabin on fire list now
Mm.
because Nat purposely didn't want her and Misty to find Coach. We saw her be like, oh no, that's I already went, no, that's useless. And then when Misty told Shauna, and Shauna was like, well, don't tell anyone. So I'm wondering which one of them is covering up for the fire. I feel like it has to be one of them. Because then once they get to the Nat is like, all right, let's go. And she's the one pointing the shotgun at him. So I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know if it was anybody.
Oh, really? You think it might have just been
I think it might have been it that wanted to force them
right.
into closer into itself.
Van's dream might even be hinting at that, right? Because
Hmm.
the fire just, huh? Because I was like, it's the dream hinting that Van did it, but it's just her watching it happen. It's not.
Right.
So I actually, now that you say that, I'm like, that makes sense because Van watched the fire just like spread.
It just was like it was a natural thing that occurs in a wood fire. Spark flew out and got on the carpet and lit things on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Now, you know what? You might have sold me on that.
I
But I still feel
have a
like
theory.
there's got to be a reason. Like, I think Nat didn't want them to find Coach because she likes him. I don't
Right.
know what Shauna's reason would be. Do you?
No. I've given up trying to understand Shauna's reasoning for anything.
Also, also, right? Why the hell is that girl even attracted to Shauna? I would be terrified of her.
I was, as a young gay, I was attracted to meanies too.
You know what? Fair. I saw a tweet that was like, "Why can't queer people kiss normal? Why is there got to be a knife up to her throat when they're kissing?"
Right.
It's very Agatha and Rio.
Right. So they're like they take action and they head towards this thing and Mari's limping and Shauna's like, I know you could do this. And of course, because Mari is desperate for Shauna's approval, she like gets the fortitude and they head into the cave and they have to split up, right? Because one side's all blocked off.
Yeah, and well, that wasn't the coach, right? That's just like the cave, right? He didn't like do
I
some.
don't know.
Okay, that's I was a little like unclear
I don't
about
know if he
that.
would have had time
Yeah, right. I'm not sure how much time
to do
passed.
it.
And when he says there's a gas leak,
He said there's something poison. He said there's
oh, okay.
poison. We
Oh, and
don't know what it
it's in the air.
was.
Right,
It
right.
could have
Okay.
been, like fungus spores. It could have been a natural gas leak. Who knows? But we know that it gets Shauna and Van
And
and
Aquila.
Aquila.
Yeah, yeah. And this show does that shit really well. Like I love that when she has the flame and Shauna's gone and she's like, "What do you think, Aquila?" And then Aquila's not there, and it's like when they need to lean into like horror and creepiness, they do it really fucking well, I think. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we talk about most of the time, but like I was thinking of like the Buffy dreams and Restless and how like the way they go in and out of like rooms and when Xander's walking through the different sets and like that's what it reminded me of when it's like she opens the door into the room and then they're in the classroom.
Right. And I think there's like these common nightmarish elements like Shauna being not being able to move forward. She's treading water. I've had so many dreams where I'm treading water or I'm running, but I'm
Yeah.
not getting anywhere. Um, Being in school, being in a classroom again.
I still
Um,
have those dreams sometimes.
yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Where it's like, oh
Uh,
shit, I didn't realize I had class today. And it's like, you are 42.
and I actually really I didn't 100% love the dream sequences, but I did like when they're all in the classroom together and Jackie reappears.
Yeah, I really like that.
Because it's always, I mean, she's such a presence, right? She's this
That
thing that
actor's so
haunts.
good.
She's
Yeah.
so good. She haunts all of them because they'll never not be able to reconcile what they did to her.
Yeah, right. And like it just like that makes sense that Jackie would be the one that's popping up of like I mean, granted, I feel like what's his face? Travis's brother, I don't even remember his name. They can't have him pop
Javi.
Javi. They can't have him pop up because he was supposed to be a kid and now he is growing up. Like that was apparent in season 2 when he popped up like twice. Um, but she's the first one they ate, so that makes sense that she would be the one that still like haunts them. Um, and yeah, that actor's so good. I love that classroom scene. It reminded me of both Buffy Restless and Willow's
Hmm.
Nightmare, but it
Yeah.
also reminded me of like Nightmare on Elm Street. How
Yes.
like
Yes. With like
misty.
the innocent object causing destruction, like the slap
Mhm.
bracelet on Shauna's neck.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the fact that there was like mist or like fog in the classroom and it's like just a little off but not but still looks like a regular classroom. Yeah, I really
Yeah.
really liked that. Um and the show like leans into like I appreciate when it can draw attention to because I think it is Akila or Van that's like, is this your dream? Like
Right.
what
Yeah. No
whose
one's
dream is
sure whose
this?
dream it is.
Yeah. And I do like the visual of like it going around Shauna's neck and her just like bleeding out, and Jackie's kind of just like, doesn't fit everyone. Um Akila's dream was almost a little too when the animal was talking to her, I was like, this is so goofy.
It was, and why did it have like a New Jersey act? Oh, because they're from New Jersey. There
Yeah.
we go. Okay. All right.
I
That's fine.
forget that they're from New Jersey all the time.
I know, I know. Yeah, it was a little weird. So I love her connection to the animals and the earth, but I'm so scared they're gonna make her do something
I
terrible.
know. I'm like, either they're gonna fully corrupt her or she's gonna be eaten.
Right.
Like,
I'm always really curious as to why Lottie was so desperate to have Travis be the one that connected with the thing.
yeah, yeah. I don't get Lottie's whole thing. Like, I don't understand because I don't know if you remember. I think it's like season 1 when she gets a flashback that like she was predicting things that would happen. Like her parents die in that car crash and she says it's gonna happen. Like she knows. So I like don't and she's not doing that now. In like present day, Lottie doesn't do that.
Yeah, so far Lottie's younger self has been a little like all over the place
Yeah.
in this season. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how if that changes.
I also confuse her and Mari sometimes because it's like cover these girls in dirt and give them black hair. I'm like, I don't fucking know who's who. um, the coach foolishly saves Van, drags her to safety. Again, my dude, just leave them, but I understand.
He gets a gun shoved in his face. Yeah.
Like immediately. Um, he has been bumped up to my next to die list. Him and Mari are like neck and neck, but I think he just beats out Mari. What would you say?
Oh no, I definitely think he doesn't last the next episode.
Yeah, I
And I
really.
think they're gonna make some sort of ritual out of it.
Oh shit. Yeah, I think you're right. Oh God, poor coach.
But I think it's going to tear the girls apart. I think there's going to be
Hmm.
two very distinct factions. There's going to be the Shauna led Let's Kill Coach, and there's
Hmm.
going to be the Nat led Let's Not Kill Coach.
I think you might be right. Because there has to be like a division at some point, right? Because what was it? The season 1 opener is like these kids are feral and they're chasing one of the other girls who's like not in their whatever. Um,
Yeah, and I think that Lottie is going to be the deciding factor. I think that
hmm,
she's going to be like the spirit is telling me that
I can see
this
that.
thing needs to happen. But I just don't see any reasonable way they let him go because even if they I don't think they've ever given up hope of being rescued
Yeah,
completely, and they know that he would tell everyone what they did.
that's true. Yes. And he's a little bit more realistic of like, I don't, he's just like surviving, right? Um, yeah, yeah, he's gonna get it. Achila was at the top of my next to die list, but I think you're right that like her connection will like
He's
last.
way too useful.
Yeah, or like
He's
make her
way too
last.
useful. Yeah. And
Um,
I don't think anybody would like they know she's an innocent, and I don't think anyone would be okay with something bad
mhm.
happening to her unless it happened accidentally.
Right, like with Javi, if it's like, well, now
Right.
we can eat her. Now she's up for grabs because like she fell on this thing. Dana, I didn't realize this till Zach mentioned it. I don't know if you realized. So in that season one, the opener, when that girl the pit she falls in is the pit Mari falls in, which I
I
did not.
believe it is. I
Yeah,
believe that is the pit.
I didn't think that at all, but
So
that
I
makes
was
sense.
guessing that they take over the pit.
Yes, yes. Um, I'm also just curious about the like coach found that pit. He found the thing buried in it. I am curious, like though. Did you watch Lost? Were you a Lost girly?
I did watch some of Lost, and I know that there have been some comparisons to all of
Yeah,
that.
because like there were things like that on Lost. There would be like a food drop from the Dharma Initiative, which like ran the
Yeah,
island.
I mean, but I could see if the guy that lived in the woods was kind of a survivalist, I could see him burying
Yeah,
something like that,
that's true.
in case like shit hit the fan.
That's
So
true. I
I'm
keep
not a
forgetting that there
hundred
was a guy
percent,
already
yeah,
there. Yeah.
I'm not 100% on board with it being like weird or suspicious. I feel like it's something my brother would do, and he's a little bit of a survivor.
Fair, fair. Do you watch From?
Yeah, yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about the two of them in relation because, like, you know how in From it's like so much weird shit just like happens, and you don't,
Hmm.
and it like I think. Did you watch the show Evil at all?
Some of it. I actually have it on my list to go back
Okay,
and rewatch the whole thing.
but you have watched some episodes.
Hmm.
So I think with both shows, this is where I'm landing a little bit. On Evil, it was like, I don't know if you remember, sometimes it was like the conceit would be, oh, the person was just like crazy or a serial
Hmm.
killer. But
Hmm.
then sometimes it would be like something supernatural. And
Yes,
it was like
yes.
both. And I
You
think,
never really knew what was going to happen. Yeah.
and I think kind of with From and Yellowjackets, that's kind of how it is, where like some of the stuff is like a human thing that's happening where someone's just bad, but then some of it is like fully
Yeah.
supernatural.
And I think that happens in any show like this, like Walking Dead or The 100 or whatever.
Right.
I think there's always, because humans are fucking evil.
Yeah. In case that point has not been driven home by
In case it isn't
2025.
clear, humans can be fucking evil.
Yeah.
So, and when given the opportunity to let our evil flags fly, people will do it
Yeah.
gleefully.
I agree. I agree. Um, Dana, what would you if you have anything that you want to see happen this season, is there anything you want to see?
Hmm. I'm just kind of along for the ride with Yellowjackets. I don't really have something specific I'd want to see. I kind of want to see Shauna finally get her comeuppance. I'd like to see her actually have to be held responsible for some of the terrible things that she does. Um,
She does a lot of the fuck around, but never the finding out. You are
right, like
right.
how she got away with killing this man, and we just kind of dropped it
We just were
this
like,
season.
yeah, that was in the past. Yeah, they chopped up some guy.
Um, so I think that I would like to see them go back to the woods. I
All
want to
right.
see them all go back there.
I feel like that will be like one of the last seasons. Like I feel like because that's how Lost is. The last like two seasons or something is like they went back to the island.
Right.
I
And
can
and
see
we
that.
think this is the Canadian Rockies that they're
I've
in.
seen a couple different. I don't know. I really just always think of it. I forget that it's supposed to be a location and not like the Lost Island.
Hmm.
Because it just feels so isolated and so like weird. Um, but all right. Well, Dana, thank you for joining me. Thank you for filling in for Zach. Our friend Zach is getting ready to move and stuff, so he's taking a little break. Um, but yeah, tell everyone where they can find you.
Oh yeah, so I spend a lot of time on Blue Sky now because I'm off of Twitter and I'm trying to avoid meta platforms.
Fair.
Blue Sky for the most part. You can also like find me at danapiccoli.com and like if you want to write me a note or say hi or something. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
All right. Well, and thank you all for listening. If you like My Bloody Judy, you can find us everywhere you get your podcasts, and on YouTube, you can watch video recordings. Please give us a good review and give us a few stars. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of this new episode. And you can follow us on social at My Bloody Judy on all platforms. We'll see you next time. Bye.